What's going on, everyone? Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday. I think I start every video out with that, right? Hope you're doing well. And then I say the day. And hopefully you're here in class. If not, maybe you're watching from home. But we're Mainers. We're tough. We can make it in here, right? Um, Hopefully we watched the crash course in class. Hopefully I did my job and pause at certain places that are important to what we're reading here. Flowers for Algernon. Lots of information in that crash course. It's only 8 minutes, but it goes through like way more than we need to. But maybe you picked up on a little bit and maybe you'll study it further. Maybe you learned something before and you're like, oh, yeah. Maybe it's just reinforcing something you already learned. Well, one of the things that was mentioned there, and I'm pretty sure I paused and put on my glasses here, the thematic asperception test. What is that? They talked about it very briefly. So Charlie is going to be given one of these, and it's basically where the patient, well, it says it right down there, right? The patient is given a series of photos, and then they need to interpret what's going on. It's the part of crash course where there was a woman standing outside the door and she was crying, and a guy laying on the bed looked like he might have been passed out. Maybe he was just sleeping. So a doctor would ask the patient what's going on here, and based on what they say, hopefully it's a trained doctor, and then they can sort of try to diagnose their personality. So that's what's going to be happening here with Charlie. We talked about yesterday the Horseshack test, those ink blots, epistolary, remember, letters, diary entries. All right, let's get into the story. I think we're in progress report part 3, right? So March 7th. Hey, over here, like, we're not going to do this stuff. I mean, I try not to give you busy work here. Some of this stuff seems like busy work. Hey, in paragraph 8, which is right here, mark every misspelled word you see. So if we were using the books, I mean, I don't know. What am I going to go around to everybody, give everybody a grade? Oh, nice job. You missed this one. Point off. So I don't know. I think some of the book is great. Some of the book is just like some busy work. Just notice, like in paragraph 8, guess what? There are a lot of misspelled words. So we don't have to do that stuff right there. I mean, we could talk about, question, looking over the marked words. Would you describe the number of errors as a few, some, or many? I think we talked about that yesterday, though. His cognitive ability is a little bit less than the average. What is he, 37? All right, continuing with this right at the top, Dr. Strauss and Dr. Namor said it don't matter about the ink blots. I told them I didn't spill the ink on the cards and I couldn't see anything in the ink. They said that maybe they will still use me. I said, Miss Kinnian never gave me tests like that one, only spelling and reading. They said Miss Kinnian told that I was her bestest pupil in the adult night school because I tried the hardest and I really wanted to learn. They said, how come you went to the adult night school all by yourself, Charlie? How did you find it? I said, I asked people. Somebody told me where I should go to learn and read and spell good. They said, why did you want to? I told them because all my life I wanted to be smart. I'm not dumb, but it's very hard to be smart. They said, it will probably be temporary. I said, yes. Miss Kinnian told me. I don't care if it hurts. So maybe we should pause right there. I mean, if anybody has any thoughts, pause there. And then also this poor guy, he is aware that he's not as smart as some people in some ways. So he wants to become better. And he doesn't care if it hurts, which I alluded to yesterday. It's like, does Charlie live alone? Okay, that's one thing. And I don't know, in 2022, could this man sign a paper that's saying it's okay for you to experiment on me? Like, I'm not sure if that would hold up in court because I don't know if he's able to make his own decisions. So, I mean, in an ideal world, he would have like a family member that would be what we'd call like an advocate for him, like looking out for him. Doesn't seem like he does. It seems like he's completely on his own. So, are the people at the hospital, those doctors, are they taking advantage of him? I don't know. Brings up some questions there. All right. Hard to answer. But are the doctors getting around, their kind of ethics by saying this could help so many people? We need to experiment on them. And then you get into the testing on animals. That's a very controversial issue too. Well, it's going to help other people. Again, controversial, no real right answer. A lot of people have opinions, but all right, we ended here, paragraph 9. Later, I had more crazy tests today. The nice lady who gave it to me told me the name, and I asked her, how do you spell it so I can write it in my progress report? Thematic asperception test. And again, we got a little footnote, but I think we've talked about it enough. Hopefully you kind of have an understanding. It says it right there. I don't know the first 2 words, but I do know what test means. You got to pass it or you get bad marks. This test looked easy because I could see the pictures. Only this time, she didn't want me to tell her the pictures. That mixed me up. I said, the man yesterday said I should tell him what I saw in the ink. She said, that don't make no difference. She said, make up stories about the people in the pictures. I told her, how can you tell stories about people you never met? I said, why should I make up lies? I never tell lies anymore because I always get caught. She told me this test and the other one, the Rorschach, was for getting personality. I laughed so hard. I said, how can you get that thing from ink blots and photos? She got sore, put her pictures away. I don't care. It was silly. I guess I failed that too. All right, so she got sore. I mean, that's a really old term for, she got mad. But Charlie might be on to something. I mean, these things are also controversial too. So she's saying, well, this will tell me your personality. And he laughed. I said, how can you get ink blots? So it's a little bit of a irony there where the patient who's supposed to be, that needs the help in some ways might be actually smarter than the doctors. Because we talked about that. We talked about it yesterday with the Rorschach test that, maybe it's not that reliable, but the doctor thinks it is. So a little bit of irony there. All right, let's just finish up this progress and we'll stop at 3. Okay. Later, some men in white coats took me to a different part of the hospital and gave me a game to play. It was like a race with a white mouse. They called the mouse Algernon. Algernon was in a box, a lot of twists and turns, like all kinds of walls. And they gave me a pencil and paper with lines and lots of boxes. On one side, it said start, and on the other side, it said finish. They said it was a maze. And that's just, if you look down, it's a maze. It's a maze, you have to get through. And that Algernon and me had the same amaze to do. I didn't see how we could have the same amazed if Algernon had a box and I had a paper, but I didn't say nothing. Anyway, there wasn't time because the race started. One of the men had a watch. He was trying to hide so I wouldn't see it. So I tried not to look, and that made me nervous. Anyway, that test made me feel worser than all the others because they did it over 10 times with different amazed, and Algernon won every time. I didn't know that mice were so smart. Maybe that's because Algernon is a white mouse. Maybe white mice are smarter than other mice. All right. I don't know about that one. Is that this was written in the 60s. So there's probably some kind of commentary there. I don't know. Progress report 4. Is that a good place for us to stop? Probably so. Tomorrow we'll talk about, I don't know if we'll watch it or not, but there is a movie that came out of this. It's called Charlie, but it's based on this book here, Flowers for Algernon. I watched it many, many, many years ago, and I don't remember. I was in middle school. I read this in middle school too, but I had to read it on my own, and I didn't like it because like all the words were messed up. So hopefully you're starting to like this. We're still very early. But in the coming weeks, I will try maybe on a Google form for one of the assignments, I'll just put on a poll like, hey, do you want to continue like I did with Frank and Beans? Because it is very long. We could read the whole thing, or we could just skip to like certain big parts. So you will tell me over the next couple weeks, hopefully. All right. So time to work in class, a little Frank and Beans, and then out of here. Adios.